What if I told you the balance of power in the NFC North just tilted again, and the Lions aren't sitting on their hands? What if the next domino isn't a splashy wideout or a panic move at corner, but a cold-blooded answer to the biggest defensive arms race this division has seen in years? Picture a move so bold it changes how offensive coordinators script their first 15 plays against Detroit. Picture a name you know, a prototype you fear, and a timeline that says now, not later. If this is the window, do you smash the glass? Here's what you're going to get in the next minutes. First, why the landscape around Detroit demanded an aggressive counter-punch. Second, the exact profile of the player who fits like a lock into Aaron Glenn's front. Traits, usage, ripple effects for Aiden Hutchinson, and the back seven. Third, realistic trade mechanics and cap math. Detroit can actually stomach without wrecking the long-term core. And finally, clarity. What's fact? What's smoke? And where I personally draw the line on price versus impact. You're watching Lions News Fan Report. Tap subscribe. Drop a like if you ride with this defense-first identity, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next roster trimmer. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report. Let's set the stage. The Packers just detonated the offseason by importing the most terrifying edge presence in football, Micah Parsons, and paying him like the non-QB he is, an offense destroyer. Overnight, your divisional ceiling and your margin for error got tighter. This is an arms race now, and arms races aren't won with wishes. They're won with waves. Detroit already has a wave in Hutch, the beating heart of this front. But the lesson from January football is simple. Relentless becomes inevitable when pressure comes in pairs. Add in the cold math of playoff football. One extra hurry on 3rd and 7 is worth more than a tidy WR3 upgrade. And the strategic answer narrows. You need length. You need close. You need a bookend who can collapse an edge, surf inside on games, set a hard edge on early downs, and still finish the play when quarterbacks bubble up in the pocket. And you need him on a contract you can manage as Brad Holmes threads the needle between paying your blue chips and keeping your too deep dangerous. Green Bay swung big. The question in Allen Park is, do you counterpunch or hope your plan A is enough in a division that just changed the rules? Here's the reveal. The name on the whiteboard is Trayvon Walker of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prototype frame at 6'5", around 270, long, violent hands, positional flexibility from wide 9 to 4i, and a motor that has finally synced with production the last 2 seasons. Back-to-back double-digit sacks, steady diet of hits and tackles for loss, and the kind of arc you target before the true prime explosion. Jacksonville already buttoned up control by exercising his 5th-year option for 2026, and his 2025 cap number is precisely the kind of figure Detroit can carry without gutting its mid-tier depth. That's not theory, that's ledger. Let's talk football first. Plug Walker opposite Hutchinson and your front transforms. Early downs, his edge set squeezes B-gaps, muddies split zone, and forces backs to bubble to help. Suddenly, your second-level fits look cleaner, and your safeties don't have to play hero ball, 9 snaps a drive. Passing downs, you can kick him inside on TE detach looks, run techs and TE games with Aleem McNeil, and still leave Hutch on an island because the pocket can't step up. Quarterbacks who love to reset at 8-1-2 yards lose that platform. OCs who live off quick game feel your width and start calling conservative protections. That's when Aaron Glenn can actually get back to disguise and late rotation instead of living in survive the explosive mode. The downstream effect? Fewer 5-step concepts, more 3rd and longs, more chances for Brian Branch to play robber and steal a ball that travels 13 air yards instead of 9. Now, the mechanics. Why Walker and why now? Because his arc is trending up, his control years are defined, and the Jaguars, despite exercising the option, still have decisions to make about where they apportion top-of-market dollars along their front. The numbers matter. The 2025 cap hit sits in a digestible band for Detroit's structure, and the option year in 2026 is both predictable and tradable. You are not renting volatility. You're buying 2 years of club control with extension optionality if the fit is as clean as the tape suggests. What would it cost? If you're honest about league precedent, you're paying a 1 for an ascending, controllable edge, not a rental. Think framework like this. Detroit receives Trayvon Walker and a late day 3 pick stapled to him. Jacksonville receives Detroit's 2026 first, a 2026 fourth, and a 2027 third. That escalates to a second if Walker hits 10 sacks or Detroit reaches the NFC title game. That's not fantasy. It's calibrated against the market for prime-age rushers with control versus pass deals for rentals. It also builds in performance, trophy protection for Jacksonville while letting Detroit keep its 25 capital intact for in-season flexibility. Make no mistake, the first-rounder is the ante. You are not getting a 2-time double-digit sack edge on a rookie structure for spare change. But is it real or is it rumor? Here's the line between smoke and substance. Facts. Jacksonville picked up the option and publicly signaled openness to a long-term dialogue. Walker stacked 10 and 10.5 sacks across 2023-24 and opened 2025 as a core piece. His cap hits are public and manageable. Also factual. Philadelphia writers have floated Walker as a smart swing for the Eagles as they reshuffle their edge room, which tells you more than vibes about how rival evaluators see his trajectory. All of that is verifiable. What is not factual at this hour is any formal offer from Detroit or a green light from Jacksonville to shop him. We're in the zone where calls happen, frameworks get workshopped, and teams pressure test scenarios in case the season forces their hand. That's the real status, exploratory heat, not paperwork. Context on the Jags matters. They fortified the room with veteran depth. They've got a new staff that has every reason to lean on a cost-controlled, ascending number 1 pick, and they are playing for January themselves. No GM trades a 24-sack in 3 years edge on the cheap, especially right after exercising the option. The path that changes that calculus usually looks like this. A contender overpays with future ones. The selling team has a parallel move lined up, and the players' camp is ready to talk extension terms that suit the buyer's structure. You need at least 2 of the 3. Otherwise, the answer is, we love him too. How does it play in Detroit's cap? Cleanly in the short term. 2025's number fits under the umbrella without axing glue guys, and the 2026 option is a planning figure you can see from here. The real pivot is philosophical. Do you want to pay 2 edges, top-tier money in staggered years, or do you harvest 2 years of cost-controlled dominance? Chase a ring while Hutchinson's extension ramps, and decide later whether to extend Walker or recycle the asset. Both paths have merit. Both assume the on-field return is immediate. The downside risk is you spend the 1, Walker is just good, and you live in the solid but not special zone that doesn't move January outcomes. That's why the conditional escalator exists in any sane offer. Let's circle back to football, the only reason any of this matters. On 3rd down, imagine Hutch at wide 9 to the left, Walker at 5 tech right walking into a mugged front, Alim shaded, Branch buzzing late. If the center slides to Hutch, Walker wins a half-man on the tackle. If the slide goes the other way, Hutch gets the one-on-one he turns into money reps. And when teams try to solve you with sprint outs and quick game, Walker's length at the line becomes a deflection factory. Take away the first window and all of a sudden your corners aren't living in two-way goes. That's how one player raises the whole defensive floor, not by changing your identity, but by eliminating the get-out-of-jail freebies offenses rely on to stay on schedule. So let's stamp it, clean and honest. The headline you clicked in your head, Trayvon Walker to the Lions, is not a done deal. It's a logical, aggressive, and very real conversation for a contender staring across the border at a franchise that just imported an apex predator. It lives in a world where Detroit is willing to part with future capital for a player whose arc matches Hutch's, whose cap hits are digestible, and whose presence turns close games into 4-minute drill. Our ball. If Jacksonville opens the door, Detroit should be in that hallway. My take? I'm in at the right price. 1 future first, reasonable sweeteners, and 0 panic overpay. The fit is clean, the timeline makes sense, and the message to your locker room is powerful. We're not here to admire what we built. We're here to finish it. What I won't do is burn 2 future ones and a core starter in September just to say, We matched Green Bay's headline. Detroit's advantage is cohesion plus ascending stars on aligned arcs. Walker amplifies that without breaking it. Do it smart, do it strong, and do it because January football is a pass rush tournament and the Lions should plan to win a tournament. Tell me in the comments, one first and conditions, yes or no. And if it's a no for you, what's the counter that actually moves the needle in a Parsons division? This is Lions News Fan Report. Subscribe, lock in, and let's ride.